up, everyone? Welcome back to the garage. Gerald here with you. I've been trying to do this for the last few days, and it's been a lot going on around here, my kids and etc. So it's late tonight, actually, but I have got to get my predictions figured out because I was going to shoot that video for what will end up being my final Oscars predictions probably on Monday is my goal, and have that guys up for you on Monday or no later than Tuesday. But what I wanted to do tonight was kind of look at it after getting the BAFTA nomination results and the PGAs. Those were the two big precursors that we were waiting on. So they came in the last couple days, and there were quite a few shakeups there as well. So that I've been reading a lot about it and doing the Gold Derby thing and the awards expert and all that stuff, and I just don't really know what to do with a couple spots. So if you're here, I'm going to be trying to monitor the chat throughout the night too, because I'm going to be, using my spreadsheets and stuff. But I'll pull up comments if you guys have any suggestions. Let me bring in my sheet that I keep here. So this is kind of where it all starts for me when it comes to Oscars predictions early in the season. Like usually around September, I don't really do much before that because at that point you're just kind of guessing. But it obviously gets filled out a lot more as we get closer and closer to where we are now, which is less than a week away from the nominations. So what I'm going to do now that we have all of these major precursors, I'm assuming if you're watching, you know what the titles mean up there, but it's just Golden Globes, Critics' Choice, the SAG Awards, BAFTA, which we just got, PGA, which is the Producers Guild, DGA, which is Directors, and WGA, which is Writers. WGA, I only found this out, I think, last year. I was kind of surprised to find out. But WGA is a little weird because there's a lot of rules why you could be omitted from being nominated for an award there. I think you have to be a member of the Writers Guild to be nominated or something crazy like that. So that's why there's some interesting nominees for the WGA this year. But anyway, I think for screenplay that might matter, but I don't know that I'm going to lean too heavily on it for picture. So this is what I have for picture so far. And these are all the major precursors. Now, obviously, I'm not doing all the critics groups around the country and stuff like that, which that's a ton of precursors I'm not going to put on my spreadsheet. But I kind of have a lot of those in my brain as well. So what I'm going to do to kind of get myself started is I'm going to go through these, and I'm going to highlight them in green if I am most likely going to be suggesting it for Best Picture. Down at the bottom, you see the tabs. I'm going to go through all the top of the line categories on this stream. Brainstorm, I'm talking out loud. If you show up and you want to drop a comment, let me know. So let's get the obvious ones out of the way. So we are definitely going to put Anora in. We are definitely going to put Conclave in. I think we're going to end up with 9 here. And then I'm not really going to know what to do. Amelia Perez is in with a bullet, and I don't know why. I've been saying it ever since I saw that film a couple months ago. I just do not get it. The industry loves this thing. I hate to say this, but in my opinion, that would be one of the worst Best Picture winners that we've had in a long time. I mean, even Green Book was, it was White Savior. It definitely wasn't the best movie that year, but I don't even think it was. I think this would be worse, especially when we look back on it in the future. But that's a definite in. Brutalist is a definite in. Wicked is a definite in. So these are definites. A Complete Unknown, I think I can safely say, is a definite in now as well. And Dune Part 2. Definite might be a strong word to use for Dune Part 2, but you can see a lot of the precursors that's gotten there. Even though it missed some baffling ones like DGA, like Denis Villeneuve not getting nominated for DGA is like one of the craziest things I've ever witnessed in my life, to be honest with you. But I'm gonna leave it in. I think it's pretty safely in, especially when we're talking 10 nominees. So let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think The Substance is in. It did miss some stuff, but it's just everybody's rallying around that Demi Moore performance. That's really what it is. I mean, her narrative and her story is what's really carrying that movie in the award season race. And then you have a director like Coralie Farja who is starting to be recognized more and more too. And I love that the eyeballs are, no pun intended, on this movie because it's a horror movie, and I love that. I think it's in. I think it's pretty much in this order too. I think it's probably the 8th. It might actually be stronger right now because of that word of mouth and the vibes for that movie right now. All right, so then this is what we're looking at. So that's 8. Now, these last 2 spots are interesting. If you look at my current predictions, this is what I have on my site that I updated about a week ago, a little less than a week ago. I've got Nickel Boys and Sing Sing in those last 2 spots, which is what we're contemplating right now. So here's the thing. It's not going to be final until I'll tell you guys it's final, but if I was making that video right now, I think I would still leave Sing Sing in. Let me go back to the precursors. Look at this. It has blanked on pretty much everything. Did it get a BAFTA? I thought it did actually. Hang on. I didn't mark it. Let's see. BAFTAs. No, it didn't. Okay. For film ensemble, it did get a lot of other categories that it was shortlisted for. Actually, I don't know if it was on the list for film, now that I'm thinking about it. But okay, I was right about that on my spreadsheet. I thought for a second I was missing one there. So why would I do that? It only has one, which is Critics' Choice, and of course the critics love that movie, myself included. I gave it a lot of votes when we did our North Carolina Critics Association voting back in December. Damn, guys. Drop it in the chat. What's number 9? What's number 10? The ones in green are ones that are in. Those 8 movies that I have highlighted in green, you will see nominated Thursday for Best Picture. I don't think any of those are really up for debate. So let's do some yellows because, okay, so I'm gonna leave Sing Sing in yellow. I'm gonna put Nickel Boys yellow, which are the 2 that I currently have as 9 and 10. I'm also going to put A Real Pain in yellow. I'll tell you why in a second. And September 5. Man, if September 5 or is it 5th? I don't know. If September 5 and Amelia Perez are 2 of the 10 nominated pictures, what are we doing? What are we doing? I don't think... I'm also going to put Nosferatu yellow, and I'll tell you why here in a second also. It has literally 0 precursors for the film. However, it does have a lot of precursors with the craft guilds that it's been showing up for. Cinematography. It's been nominated for score in a couple places, which is brilliant. Production design. Costumes, I think. Or no, it was makeup. I'm sorry, makeup. Yeah, Catherine knows. She knows what's up. I just saw your comment over there. So, I'm going to leave it yellow. Now, Catherine, tell me why Nosferatu is going to get that 10th spot, because I need to be, that's what I want also. That's my number 1 movie of the year. I don't know if you guys saw, I just dropped my top 10 of the year, and that was my number 1. It belongs in there, especially if you're talking about the craft of filmmaking. You know, I mean, what are we awarding here? But not only that, the performances are like easily Oscar worthy, and they're getting no mentions. Not even a veteran like Willem Dafoe is getting mentioned. He was initially. There was thoughts, maybe, but that faded away. Lily Rose Depp, easily one of the best actresses of the year so far. I'm going to leave it yellow And the reason is, and I'm not the first person to say this, but I thought this about a week ago, and then I heard some people saying on podcasts and stuff this week. Nosferatu is similar to Nightmare Alley for me, the Del Toro picture that was basically a horror movie. It's like a horror, crime, noir kind of film. A really good movie. I wasn't predicting it. A lot of people, most people were not predicting it, and it showed up on Oscar morning for Best Picture. Throughout that season, Nightmare Alley had been getting a lot of craft nominations. Very, very similar to what Nosferatu is doing right now. It also had no X's on the line the year for Nightmare Alley. It's a film that has that sensibility of a international kind of film, even though it's not. It just is so well made that I wonder if the Academy members see it, particularly the international members, and they're just in awe of it. Especially when you look at some of these other ones that are most likely getting in, or have been getting in. You know, Nosferatu is kind of like the horror version of a movie like The Brutalist this year, when it comes to the craft of it. It's just awe-inspiring. It's just unbelievable to look at. I'm going to leave it in yellow. I think the other ones are definite reds. So we can only have 2 of those yellows for Best Picture. As I'm looking at this spreadsheet, I will tell you, and you're not going to want to hear this, or I assume you're not going to want to hear this, the best combo right now, I should say the strongest combo, is September 5 and A Real Pain, because they both have PGA and they both have Golden Globe, which started award season. Voting, I think, opened on like 2 or 3 days after the Globes. Everybody saw it, I'm sure. Before the tragic fires hit and everything, everybody was glued to the Globes. I think those 2 on paper, on a spreadsheet, are the 2 that people should be predicting. But something you cannot put on a spreadsheet is a feeling or a hunch or an upset. I haven't looked at anybody's final predictions. I think some of them, I saw some came out today. I haven't watched the videos or read the articles. And I'm wondering if people are taking that risky approach, or if they're filling in the blank with September 5 and A Real Pain. Sing Sing only had Critics' Choice. So I don't think I can put Sing Sing in, which I really, really want to be in, and not include one of those other 2, September or A Real Pain. You know, I think September 5, man, I think A Real Pain's in. I really do. I wasn't as high on A Real Pain as a lot of my friends and other people I follow were. I mean, I liked it, but it's just not an Oscar movie to me. I just didn't. I mean, Culkin's performance, sure. The dialogue, the screenplay, sure. I think that actually is what's going to put A Real Pain in, is the strength of the screenplay. Eisenberg's going to get nominated there for original screenplay. The strength of Kieran Culkin's performance and the award season. Now, of course, he's only got the Globes. By the way, that's what the double X means. If there's a double X, it means they won the awards they were in. Right now, we only have the Globes results. And this is for movie. But Eisenberg's in for screenplay. We know Culkin is in and is most likely going to be the dominant supporting actor this award season. Those are 2 pretty prestigious things to have in your bucket, in your basket when you go to the Oscars. I'm not seeing any objections. I'm gonna put A Real Pain in green. Okay? Because I don't think A Real Pain can be considered, based on the precursors that we're looking at and other ones that aren't even here, I don't think A Real Pain can be considered a wild card. I think I think that's a movie that you would predict, and if it didn't make it, you'd be surprised. I'm not saying it's a guarantee because it's on life support, and so is whatever the next movie I pick is. Because as you can see, there's like 4 movies that are interchangeable for 2 spots. Nickel Boys, again, the WGA, honestly, I probably shouldn't even put it on the sheet. There's so many weird rules or whatever. I'm not saying Nickel Boys wouldn't have gotten nominated for screenplay. It probably will. But it's a weird precursor because there's so many things that are not eligible that didn't get nominated. And that's why Civil War's on this sheet, because it got nominated for screenplay. And I love Civil War, but it was a weird flex. And then you have like The Substance and The Brutalist did not get nominated because they didn't meet the criteria for WGA. Obviously, those would have been easy nominations, I would think. So taking the WGA out of it, the Nickel Boys has the Globes and Critics' Choice. The critics love Nickel Boys. All award season. The critics groups, the local groups, state groups, the regional critics, they love it. Same thing with Sing Sing. Those are 2 critic darlings. And they're both in for Critics' Choice, which you would expect. Sing Sing, man. I don't want to let Sing Sing go right here on the stream. I really don't. I want that picture to be in. I don't know who's seen it. You guys are watching, but Sing Sing is a very uplifting story of community and story of arts and theater. I mean, what are we talking about here? Performing for people, for entertainment. And like 80% of that cast are not actors by trade. They're actually ex-convicts that were performing as themselves in the movie, essentially. And then you have a powerhouse actor like Coleman Domingo, who is going to have another Rustin year, I think. We'll get to actor in a second, but it's a shame. I mean, he's one of the greatest actors of this current generation. He really is. Everything he's in, home run. Yaney, I see you joined. What do I do here, man? I only got 9. I only got 1 spot for these movies in yellow. Okay, I'm just going to tell you, and if you're watching this later, and you'll see if I stuck to my guns, because like I said, Monday will be my actual video for this, set in stone. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that September 5 is the likely 10th Best Picture nominee, based on the precursors, based on its current momentum. With the Globes nomination, it has a little bit of momentum. And that's a movie about producers and directors. It's TV, but I mean, they're in the room making things happen. And I think the industry, the people that vote on these things, are going to respond to that. That's the number 10 that if you plugged it into ChatGPT right now, she would tell you to pick September 5. That's the like analytical, David Johnson from Alien Romulus pick, September 5. However, yes, right here, PJD says, for me, I just always think of passion votes. And I agree with you. And that's why I said it was a heart versus head thing, because my head is saying, based on the report card this award season, that September 5 should get that 10th spot, or even maybe Nickel Boys. The BAFTAs, we're going to get into the next category, because I can't believe, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to kill Sing Sing on this. I thought, I did a video like a week ago or whenever it was when the SAG nominations came out, and when Sing Sing missed it like completely, except for Coleman Domingo, my boy Clarence Macklin, nothing. At the Screen Actors Guild, of all bodies, to not nominate a movie like Sing Sing was just crazy to me. I'm going to leave Sing Sing in. Now, Whether you're watching live or if you watch this later, you'll be able to see if I stuck to my guns or if I'm swayed one way or another before Monday when I do my final video. I'm going to leave Sing Sing in the 10th spot because of what PJD said right there. That's a heart pick. That's a passion pick. I think if these Academy voters are watching these films and they watch Sing Sing, they're just going to feel more passionately about that film, I think. They're not going to look and see what awards it has on the shelf or nominations it has on the shelf so far. All right, so that's what I'm looking at for my 10 for Best Picture. Let me know if I'm dumb. Would you guys have gone September 5 there? Or Nickel Boys? It is weird to look at that neither one of those two are going to be in, but I don't know, man. I think Sing Sing's in the conversation too right now. Now, of course, voting ended today. But prior to voting ending, they announced that they were going to screen the movie Sing Sing at various federal prisons around the country for inmates there. They're re-releasing it in theaters. I think today, actually, it came back out in theaters, I think. And I'm going to go see it. I've already seen it, but I didn't get a chance to see it on the big screen because it never played here, which is another thing I'm pissed about for A24. But it's being re-released. They're doing a lot of really good promotional stuff. The cast is, once the cast gets talking in interviews or whatever, they are so charming, and you could just tell they are just loving living this dream, this Hollywood dream. You know, these ex-cons that are doing what they kind of internally love to do the whole time they were in prison. It's just a beautiful story, man. I don't get all the misses. I really, really don't, especially SAG. I did not expect that. And Globes, too, if I'm being honest. I did not expect that. It was like it was slowly dying throughout the season. I'm leaving it at 10. If I were to switch it out, it would probably be for September 5. And then you're looking at Nickel Boys. Then you're looking at Nosferatu. If Nosferatu can make a leapfrog jump, Hail Mary, I would not care that this was wrong. That would be the greatest day of my life because then we would have 2 horror movies nominated for Best Picture in the same year. Let's see. I'm going to comment down here. There is a chance that voters might want to honor Nosferatu for Best Picture. This film has an impeccable cinematography. Yep. Score, costumes, production, makeup. Yep. And that's what I was mentioning earlier, Catherine. Oh, you were here, but I was telling you, all the guilds for the different crafts are nominating it. And those aren't on my spreadsheet here, but from a craft perspective, I mean, it's getting rained down on. I would have loved to have seen Nosferatu get into PGA. And I thought there was a shot of that. The PGA, by the way, the PGA 10, if you're looking at it right now, another reason why I picked Sing Sing, at the top there, September, which, by the way, I put this in alphabetical order. I don't know why. I think it might think it's a date, maybe. I don't know. September 5 was nominated for PGA, as was A Real Pain. And those were the 2 on the fence movies, and they both got a PGA nomination. Well, guess what? The Oscar 10 for Best Picture, since it went to 10 movies for Best Picture, like 15 years ago, whenever it was, it's around 15, 16 years ago, has only matched the PGA 10 one time, and it was actually last year. That's the only time that the PGA 10 matched the Academy 10 was last year. So it never happens. It's like a 5% chance that would happen. So that's another reason why I'm a little more comfortable sticking with Sing Sing, because I just think it's too cookie cutter to put in a movie that frankly doesn't belong there. I mean, I didn't dislike September 5. I thought it was good, but it's not better than some of these other ones we're talking about. Nosferatu, Sing Sing, of course. I mean, it's not, it's just not. And then you have a movie like Emilia Perez. I mean, and just be ready, by the way. That movie's it might break records on Oscar morning. Thank you for that comment, Catherine. Let's go. So this is my 10. Screenshot it or do whatever the hell you want, Yanny, if you're still here. That's my 10. When I make my video, that's probably what I'm going to be looking at. The only thing that would change is if I decided to change Sing Sing at that 10th spot. But right now, I'm not going to do it based on the things I said. What do you want to look at next? Let's look at director real quick. Oh, God. Oh, good Lord in heaven. Well, Denis Villeneuve, my guy, to say he's been getting the shaft from his fellow directors this award season would be an understatement. That's one of the best directing jobs ever in Dune Part 2. I mean, look at that spectacle. Watch the damn trailer even. I mean, what are we talking about here? Like, what am I missing? You could turn the sound off and just look at it and go, holy shit. You know, that guy directed the hell out of that, you know? He's missing. All right, so we only get 5 here, guys. Let's do the greens, okay? Start yelling out greens to me. Brady Corbet, right? He's a green. Let's do them kind of in order. I think Ayoudard, unfortunately, for Emilia Perez. By the way, if any Emilia Perez fans tune into the stream while I'm doing this, I'm sorry. I'm probably going to be bad-mouthing it the whole time because I think it's taking nominations away from actual movies that deserve it. Sorry. I think Mangold is probably 3 now, even over Sean Baker. I mean, look at this guy. DGA, PGA. He got the SAG nomination nobody expected. I mean, it's weird that he didn't get a Globe nomination because that was kind of a Globey movie. The music biopic is very Globes. But guess what? It's also very Oscars. They love that shit. I mean, they gave Bohemian Rhapsody enough gold to, live in the Old West in the 1880s. I mean, it's an enjoyable, experience. But, I mean, won, best editing or something that year. I'm like, what? I'm like, that was one of the worstly edited films I've ever seen. So, anyway, they love the music biopic is my point. I think Mangold is honestly, number 3 right now. I really do. I think Sean Baker's, look at this guy. I mean, right? You have anybody I don't know if you watch any pundits, anybody that's not predicting Sean Baker. I mean, even if he weren't to get in, but if they're not predicting him, they're just not following award season. I mean, this guy's in. I think he has dropped down in likelihood to win the Oscar, but from a nomination standpoint, it's a no-brainer. Then, so we have our 4 greens. If chat wants to hit me with that 5th spot, I hope it's right here. Now, political correctness and narratives, as much as we hate it as film fans, myself included, play into these things. I'm not saying the DGA or the SAG are sexist in any way, but she missed here. And when you miss DGA, my buddy Nick and I were just talking about this on the podcast the other day, because Ben Affleck, the year of Argo, was nominated for DGA and didn't get nominated at the Oscars. Here we have the reverse. Unlike the PGA that I mentioned to you guys earlier for Best Picture, DGA, I don't know the percentage, but they have a really good track record at predicting the 5 directors. What they actually usually do, I wish I had the stat, but I've heard this before, but what they usually do is they usually nail 4 out of 5, and then the Academy throws somebody in that the DGA didn't nominate. That's where I think Coralie benefits here. If we were going with the DGA nominations, you got Edward Berger, right? Which scares me because they love Conclave. Conclave is a very Academy-friendly movie. It's a very, 40 years old and up movie. Definitely 50 and up, which, a lot of Academy members are older. Internationally, it's an English language film, obviously, but taking place in Italy, and the Catholic Church and the Vatican. I think it's between Edward Berger and Coralie Farja. On paper, we did this just a second ago for movie. On paper, Coralie is going to get snubbed. And Berger will get that spot. Because look, Globes, Critics' Choice, SAG, BAFTA, which do you see how much the BAFTAs loved All Quiet on the Western Front a couple years ago? I think it was like 9 nominations out of 11 or something. They loved this dude. The movie didn't get PGA, but then he got the DGA nomination. So on spreadsheet, Berger's in, right? But Coralie's a woman, obviously. Farja's a woman, which is important. The substance, that film, is so fucking bonkers, off the wall, insane that I can't even believe, honestly, that she's on this list. I really can't. I'm thrilled that she is, but based on the Academy's history and their tolerance for those types of films, I'm shocked. Now, like I said earlier, and we'll get into the acting ones here in a second, but like I said earlier, Demi Moore's kind of radiance this award season, I think, has really helped that film overall. And it's really brought kind of a magnifying glass onto the substance in the last, month. Definitely since the Globes. So I think Demi Moore is going to carry some of that with her to Oscar morning. Now, of course, voting in today, so she hopefully carried that with her to the voting. So for my fifth spot for this one too, I don't know, because the Academy loves to snub female directors. They just do. Look at Greta Gerwig last year for Barbie. And I know I was on a soapbox about that for months, but she actually had a similar scorecard here to what Farja has. I don't think she got BAFTA. But Farja is French, international body. And by the way, the most crossover with the Academy of all these guilds that you're looking at is BAFTA. I think there's 300 and something members. And then a lot of them are also in the Academy. So that could translate over. DGA is a brilliant precursor for director. And if that's the case, then it's Edward Berger. But I'm going to go Hart, I think, unless there's any objections. Let's see. I agree with you. God bless. Don't get me started, Catherine. I agree with you. Berger directed the hell out of that film. You talking about Conclave or All Quiet? Both, really. They're two completely different films, but yes, he did. He's a great director. He really is. But, if he's green right here, that's the DGA 5, which, like I said, more often than not, they miss one. Just one off. And also, that would be boring, right? That, in my opinion, that would be boring. And I would like to think, and I probably said this more times than I care to remember, I would like to think the Academy is maturing a little bit in terms of their, reach. Because I fell out of my chair in this house that I live at. I fell out of my chair in 2018 when Parasite won Best Picture. I didn't predict it. None of my friends predicted it. Even after winning SAG, even after all the cast that couldn't speak English was, sweeping everybody off their feet, nobody predicted it because we're talking about the Academy. It was an international, kind of horror movie dealing with class. It was phenomenal that it got nominated, but nobody, I'm going to say nobody, but very few people thought that it could win Best Picture. And it did. And that was, 5-6 years ago. I think I'm gonna do Heart on this one too. You guys can screenshot it. I know Yanni's probably keeping tabs on me over there, Christopher, but I am gonna do that because let's not do 5 white dudes every year. Now, I will say that I'm all about nominating the 5 best directors, regardless of race, religion, sex. Like, that's not what I'm saying, but like, she's right there. Like, so you're telling me that she's not just as powerful in her direction of that film as the other 4 names on there? I don't buy it. I think she's, I mean, Brady Corbet is going to win this. I mean, I would probably faint if he didn't win Best Director on Oscars evening. But to be recognized as one of the 5 best directors, I just don't see how she's not in there. I really don't. I mean, and given the precursors on top of that, and I don't think the DGA is going to match exactly. So the one that I think is going to miss is Berger. Some people would maybe say Mangold, but Mangold has the PGA DGA combo and holy momentum for A Complete Unknown, which, by the way, I love that film. Much better than Bohemian Rhapsody, like we were talking about earlier. But the momentum, I mean, Timmy, my guy, we'll get to acting in a second. Timothy Chalamet's hosting SNL next weekend and performing as the musical guest. What if he brings Monica Barbaro out there with him and they do a duet? Or what if Bob Dylan comes, the actual Bob Dylan, and they perform? I mean, this guy is like literally carrying the flag for A Complete Unknown. And it has so much momentum right now. That's why almost anything I see pop up with A Complete Unknown, I'm giving very, very like intense thoughts on it being in the nominated 5 or 10 or whatever. So right now I'm going to go Corbet. He's going to win. Coralie Farja, Ayu Dard for Emilia Perez. James Mangold and Sean Baker for Honora. Guess who's missing, guys? Bam. Unbelievable. I mean, what are we doing? Oh, my God. Here's some yellows real quick. I think Berger's 6. Villeneuve is probably 7. Although, I don't know, John Chu's been doing really well also. It's going to be between Villeneuve and John Chu, but I'll put both of them in yellow. All right. All right, so there we go for director. I did have Ramel Ross. That's the director for Nickel Boys. I did have him in my director nominations a couple weeks ago, but it kept missing. It missed SAG. It missed BAFTA. It didn't get anything. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, that film was. I'm not like a lover of that film like a lot of people are. I mean, it was good. It was a powerful movie, but the way it was shot, which is ironic because that's what I'm shouting him out for. But when I was as a viewer of it, I didn't know that going into it, and I was a little kind of like I had to get my reins about me, which took away from the overall enjoyment of the film. I don't know if enjoyment is the right word based on the subject matter, but entertainment of it or whatever. But he's a very good director, and that was a very well-directed film. Let's see. Yes. Emilia Perez is the most overrated movie I've seen in years. I mean, Catherine, is not only overrated, it's like offensive. I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you. I mean, I'm not a trans person, and I'm not Spanish. But if I were, I would be even more offended. I mean, the way it plays with that ideology is very dangerous, really. And it's like the titular character, Emilia Perez, wants to transition to female, but like the movie paints it as a way to disguise her true self, which, by the way, happens to be a criminal. So in order to be the person that you want to be, you have to commit crimes, and I don't know, it's weird. And then the second half of the movie, she like brings her family back who thought she was dead, and they don't know it's her, and like she's essentially toying with them so for her own self-motivated emotions. And then you have the whole sex change number. I mean, it's just like a fucking like I'm not even joking. And that's why I said it's not as bad as Green Book, in my opinion. Because when I watched Green Book, I did not think for 1 second, sit there and think to myself, because when I watched Emilia Perez, it already had a lot of traction. I didn't see it till Netflix. And it had already been in the awards conversation. And I'm like, this is going to be great. Selena Gomez, let's go. I'm ready. 5-10 minutes into that thing, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, it was one of the worst movie experiences from an Academy movie that I've had in a long time. And I did not like Crash winning. I did not like Green Book winning. I like Coda, but I don't necessarily know that I wanted it to win Best Picture that year, but I'm not as pissed about that one either. But Emilia Perez, I mean, I was listening to an interview on this podcast I listened to the other day, and they were interviewing James Cameron, Titanic, Terminator 2, that James Cameron. And the dude asked him, what's the best movie you've seen this year? And he said, Emilia Perez. And even the interviewer was like, do you mind if I ask you why? I mean, the industry is going to like literally shower Emilia Perez with nominations. And they have been. And I don't think the Academy is going to be any different. But I do agree with Catherine. It is not going to be fun if it wins. Yeah, right. And then, Brady Corbet does have it in the bag. I think so, too. I think he's number one. Now, what does that translate over to picture? I don't. When I was doing picture earlier, what's the first one I made green? I think the first one I did green was, because that would have been like subconscious. Yeah, I think I still have a Nora. I have it right here, I could tell you. So I still have a Nora, Conclave, Brutalist, Emilia Perez. It's those four, by the way. As much as me and Catherine hate it, Emilia Perez could win. Brutalist, Conclave, and Nora. Those are the four that stand a chance to win. I'm not talking about nominations. That stand a chance to win Best Picture. One of those four. If it's not one of those four, then I'm going to get it wrong because I don't see how it could not be one of those four. In fact, Conclave might be the tricky one of the bunch, especially if Berger doesn't get in for director. Because then you go, okay, well, they don't have the combo now. They don't have the director-picture combo. And you got Sean Baker for Nora, you got Brady Corbett for The Brutalist, and you would have Ayudar for Emilia Perez. So the other three would have director. So if Coralie does get snubbed and Berger does get in for director, then you've got an interesting four-headed race to the finish line. And it literally could be. And even though I'm not as high on really any of those movies except for Nora, it was one of my favorite movies of the year, I liked Conclave. I liked The Brutalist. I did not like Emilia Perez. But what I was going to say is it's exciting, right? Like, we can sit here and do videos and streams and make lists. And, I got spreadsheets. I'm a sicko, but I don't know. This year, I have no idea. And I think that's exciting. I really do. All right, so did I lock in my... Okay, so I locked in my 5 for director. Brady Corbet, Coralie Farja, Jacques Ayudard, James Mangold, and Sean Baker. And then the ones in yellow would be spoilers for those guys. If one of those yellows get in, Coralie's getting snubbed. And to be honest with you, I probably shouldn't be stupid. But I'm also putting it out there in the universe. She just retweeted me and followed me on Twitter the other day. Of course I'm going to predict her to get in. I love her. None of these other white dudes follow me, I'll tell you that. Substance is just a piece of work. I hope she gets it. But what I was going to say is if I was smart, I probably would not predict her because the Academy loves snubbing people like that. And then when I say people like that, I really mean female. Female directors specifically. I mean, they have to nominate them in the actress categories. Let's get to those. What do you want to do first? Supporting actor is a clusterfuck. Let's hold off on supporting actors and give me a headache. Let's see. Supporting actress is a little more. Actually, no. This one's weird too. All right. Give me some greens, guys. Let me. Oh my God. Okay. Let's see. All right. Number 1. Is Zoe Saldana, I think. I want Ariana Grande, to get some of that sweet momentum back, and she has. She's really succeeded at that. with the SAG and the BAFTA back to back. And they love Wicked. I mean, I'm talking about the world loves Wicked. And the industry seems to like it too. Now, when we're talking about musicals, I would much prefer Wicked over Amelia Perez. Let's put Zoe in green. I think she's still number one, I think. Did I have her at number one? I don't remember this. I don't remember everything here. Let's see. Yeah, so there you go. That's what I had. Let's look at this, guys. Oh, man, what am I going to do here? Okay, so Zoe is first, I think. Ariana is second. Those two are in, period. No question. I mean, I think there could be a scandal tomorrow, and one of them could get arrested for something crazy, and they would still get nominated. Those two are in. Now, I'm not joking with you when I tell you that the other three spots in this category, no, I don't know. We look at precursors here. This right here, guys, look, this right here, this is what you call momentum. You go back to when did I do this? I did this on the 10th, a week ago. Right there she is. The cross means she's a new entry. I put her in there, and I said when I put her in there that I didn't even have her, because this is 10 here. I had like 20. I didn't even have her in the 20 when I started doing this back in September. I liked her in that movie. I think Pamela Anderson is a much better, more memorable performance. And also it's going to be fucked up because Jamie Lee's going to get nominated. I'm just telling you. We'll get there in a second. But it's going to be fucked up because Pamela is not going to get nominated. And she is that movie. I mean, she's the Last Showgirl. And she's great in it. And it mirrors her career trajectory in real life in a lot of ways. I don't like it. I don't like it. I love Jamie Lee Curtis. I mean, it's Laurie Strode. I mean, it's my Halloween final girl. I love her. But she got no business being in there with some of these other, Margaret Qualley and some others. I mean, it's crazy. Let's go back. So these two are green. And I'm not joking when I tell you that Jamie Lee is probably third now. You saw I had her down there at like 7 or 8 when I put her on. Does anybody object in the chat? Because I'm telling you right now, she's getting nominated. And I've heard people on podcasts today, which means they probably recorded it like yesterday, saying she's not going to get in because of the performance and the movie hasn't been seen. And dude, nobody gives a shit. People love her in Hollywood. She is like a mother figure to half of the damn community there. And she's like personal friends with the other half. They love her. And I'm not saying it's not warranted because I love her too. But this is a mid-performance that frankly is not Academy worthy. I'm not saying it's bad, but the fuck are we doing? Like, give her the Critics' Choice or something if you want to. But this is what you call momentum, because 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, nobody. 3 weeks ago, nobody was saying Jamie Lee Curtis for supporting actress. I'm talking about your Oscar experts. I'm talking about my boy Matt at Next Best Picture. None of them were saying it. I definitely wasn't saying it. I mean, it's like Jonathan Bailey for Wicked when he got nominated. It's like, what? I got to put another name on the sheet. I mean, she's campaigning, guys, and she's campaigning by being who she is, being authentic, and just being a great ally to everybody in Hollywood, really her whole life. And obviously, coming from that lineage, I mean, she's been in Hollywood, her parents were in Hollywood. I mean, generations can track back to Jamie Lee Curtis in Hollywood. And this right here, bam, we were surprised. I did a live reaction of it when I got home from work that day. I pulled it up and I was like, Jamie Lee Curtis? I mean, I was like literally, it was unbelievable. And then look, BAFTA, the British Academy. Remember what I told you earlier about the acting branch and the crossover with the BAFTA? Look at that. That's momentum, okay? She did those 2 wins, and she's been in the public eye, screenings for The Last Showgirl in the last week to 2 weeks. voting ended today. It's like she's running for office. She knows what she's doing. And I'm not saying, that's great. More power to you. I mean, I mentioned it with Timothy Chalamet too. That gets her in. I think she's third. I think she's third. Let's see. We got a couple over here. PJ says, yeah, she's definitely in. Everybody loves her. Yeah, crying about the wall. Look, I'm sure it's genuine. I'm on the East Coast. We had all the floods and everything from the rain here, and the mountains of North Carolina shut down. You couldn't drive on the interstate. People's homes are underwater. Natural disasters like that. I'm sure it was genuine and it was authentic. I'm not accusing her of not being that way. But she's out there. And it's an important conversation to be having. And she's having it. And it just so happens that she's having it when her name's on a short list of other names that could be nominated for awards in that industry. I think, as crazy as it is, because we're talking about a natural disaster, I think it's going to help her towards a nomination. And I think because of her name and her history in Hollywood, she's in there. 2 weeks ago, I didn't have her in my top 20, guys. My top 20 she wasn't in. Now she's my number 3. And I follow this shit literally every day. I'm a fucking weirdo. That's how I know she has momentum. Because I took her. I'm like a D level pundit. I took her from 20 or outside of the 20 to number 3 in less than a week. That's momentum. Now, speaking of momentum, nobody else really has it in this category. It's been very, very roller coastery in this category. Same thing with supporting actor in a second. I think Rossellini's in for Conclave. That's another one that's got a Hollywood lineage, generations of her family in Hollywood. It's a good performance, but I think I saw that she was on screen for 6 minutes. She's going to... let me know if you've seen Conclave in the chat. She's going to be getting nominated for one scene. Okay, and that's not a spoiler necessarily. She's in the movie more than that, but she has one scene where she speaks. I think she has 2 scenes where she speaks. But the other scene is not a showcase for her. It's a little off conversation that she's having or whatever. Her acting clip, if she were to get nominated, by the way, they better fucking do clips this year if you're listening. I just spent 4 days making an edit that's 9 minutes long. If I can do that in my garage while my kids are screaming for whatever, you can make clips. Hire editors, get the clips out. What are we doing? This no clips thing. It sucks. Anyway, her Oscar clip would be her scene. You could play her whole fucking scene as her clip, and you would know what she does in the movie. Look, I love her, but Quali, Monica Barbaro, Danielle Deadwyler are in these movies every other frame. You know what I mean? And without their characters, that movie does not come together as a cohesive piece. They're all puzzle pieces that make it an Academy Award-worthy film. Isabella Rossellini, while she's great in that movie in Conclave, it's frankly, it's almost like a cameo. I'm not trying to be rude. Because she's great. She does a good job with what she has. But it's just crazy. I just see it as I always had her in the near misses 6 to 10 because it's Isabella Rossellini. And frankly, it was a shallow category a couple months ago. But up until about 2 weeks ago, I really didn't have her in, but now I do. I think she's in. I think she's probably your 4. And this, excuse me, this is when it gets really, really interesting. Margaret Qualley's dying a slow death, missing when we didn't think she was going to. She keeps missing. Monica Barbaro got a surprise SAG nomination. Those are other actors, which, of course, this will be an acting branch for the Academy. Selena Gomez surprised at the BAFTAs. That would be another Emilia Perez nomination in the same category. That's why I don't, frankly, see that happening. I think, if anything, they would split the vote. But I think Zoe's the obvious choice. I don't want Rosalini in, but she's campaigning hard too. She always mentions her mom. Yeah. And PJ also had a good point too, that when Jamie Lee's out there, she's not really campaigning for herself. She's campaigning for the movie as a whole, and specifically Pamela Anderson, which is great. I mean, that carried Lily Gladstone a long way last season with Leonardo DiCaprio, who's the A-plus marquee name, and he wasn't even talking about his performance. He didn't even care if he got nominated. He wanted to talk about Lily Gladstone the whole time, every interview they did for Killers of the Flower Moon. Sorry, guys, I'm dealing with sore throats and hoarseness and all that, so I'm going to have to drink some water tonight. Keep it lubricated there. So I got 4. I'm in a bit of a conundrum here. If anybody wants to throw out who the 5th is. Who wants to be brave and tell me who the 5th name is going to be for Best Supporting Actress? I think it's probably Felicity Jones, right? Does anybody disagree with that? It's probably her. She's been missing some key ones too, and her getting the BAFTA is not monumental, no pun intended. It was a little bit of a brutalist joke, unintentionally. But it's not revolutionary because she's British. It's just they usually have that kind of prejudice when they give their nominations. So that one wasn't super surprising, but she missed Critics' Choice and she missed SAG when the movie got everything else. Don't forget. Director, picture, Brody, not to mention the secondary text, but she didn't, which is weird because they love the movie, but for some reason they didn't vote for her. Now, she's also suffers from a limited amount of screen time in The Brutalist, not nearly as bad as Rossellini, but she's only really in the second half of the movie, and it's a 3.5-hour film. So you don't even see her. You don't even see her in The Brutalist until like 2 hours into the movie. And this is a long film that if they're watching it on their portal and they're watching it at home, unless they're enraptured with it, they might not even finish it. I mean, I finished it. I liked it. It's a great film. But they might be like, okay, I get it. Sure. It's a great film, And maybe they don't even see her in it because it takes forever. 2 hours before you see her. I think it's probably her. I'm seeing if there's any objections. Man, it really should be. It really should be Danielle Deadwyler or Margaret Qualley, because, okay, well, if it's going to be Deadwyler, it would be on the assumption that it's performance heavy in the voting. The Piano Lesson was a mid-film. There's a lot of mid-films in the race this year. There's no films I really hate, with the exception of Emilia Perez. But there's a lot of middling films, and The Piano Lesson is one of them. But Deadwyler's performance is what made it a middling film. If she was not in that or didn't give that performance, I would have turned that shit off in 20 minutes. She's phenomenal in it. Really, really good in it. And she is a great actress. She got snubbed for Till a couple years ago, don't forget. Which was fucking, what? I thought maybe they left her name off the ballot. I'm like, how is that even possible that they didn't nominate her for that? So that might be looming a little bit in their brains too. It should be Deadwyler. The reason it could be, that's why it could be her. The reason it could be Margaret Qualley, which I had in my 5 up until a couple weeks ago. She missed SAG, she missed BAFTA. But the reason it could be her is on the strength of the film. Because what I do when I do my predictions, which doesn't always pan out, but a lot of times it does, is it's tough to get that nomination. It's definitely tough to get the win. Virtually impossible to get the win. But it's tough without the other nominations carrying you and putting your film in the spotlight. Danielle Deadwyler, were she to get nominated, would be the sole nominee for the piano lesson. I would imagine. There might be something else. I think it might be in for, I think there was something else that was in the mix for her. I can't remember, production design maybe or something like that. I think it did get an award in one of the guilds, but I don't think I have it predicted to get nominated for any Oscars. So that's tough, you know. And then Ellis Taylor, another brilliant performance. He only got Critics' Choice. That was Nickel Boys. You know, Nickel Boys is going to get a couple texts, I would think, below the line categories. Screenplay. So even she has a little bit better of a chance than Deadwyler. So with that mentality, I think I would go Felicity Jones. This is going to sound weird. I think with that mentality, you could really go for any of the other names except for Ellis Taylor or Deadwyler. Because Felicity Jones for The Brutalist, Quali for The Substance, Monica for A Complete Unknown, and Selena for Emilia Perez, all four of those movies are going to get multiple nominations. And they're all going to get a Best Picture nomination. And they're all probably going to get a Best Director nomination. Coralie would be the only question mark. So if The Substance gets nominated for Picture, Director, Actress, probably going to win Actress, Demi Moore, then why doesn't Quali get in? Because they love the movie, right? It's something to think about because she's gone cold on the trail right now. Everybody thought she was getting SAG, and she didn't. Jamie Lee Curtis did. And then Monica Barbaro has momentum too, also getting the SAG, which was a surprise nomination for her. And that movie is on fire right now. A Complete Unknown is like the most popular film in the race right now. Like, it's got the momentum right now. I love the movie, particularly Timothée Chalamet. But, man, that thing just took off in the last couple. I mean, it's getting nominated for fucking everything. But Barbaro did miss. I don't even think she was listed at the BAFTAs, but she did miss. And Critics' Choice was a surprising one. Not surprising, but you know, you look at somebody like Grande that missed Critics' Choice after hitting everything, and then Quali popped in there, and that was right after the Globes nomination. So then everybody's like, "Oh, Margaret Qualley, the twofer, bam, bam, here she goes," and then nothing happened. Had she got nominated for SAG, like the next, like it was like 3 or 4 days later, had she got nominated for SAG and had those three back to back to back, look out. I'd be putting her in here no problem. So a case can really be made for all of them. The only reason I don't think Selena, I'm not going to put Selena Gomez, I'm not going to highlight her because I think that's a split vote with Zoe. You know, I mean, frankly, if Zoe Saldana wasn't in Emilia Perez and she was nominated for something else, Selena probably gets in here because it's Emilia Perez. And we've already talked about that. I mean, in fact, you know what? They love that goddamn movie so much, maybe they will nominate 2 people from it. Maybe they're going to nominate her for anybody's name that has anything to do with it. But from a voting perspective, I just don't know if there's enough votes to spread around to get both of them into the 5. So what I'm battling with is between Felicity Jones, and then I want to see what you guys have to say. My 5th spot right now is either Felicity Jones or Margaret Qualley. Okay? Felicity Jones is on a cold streak because you can't even really count BAFTA. That's almost like a given that she got BAFTA. Now, if she'd missed BAFTA, you could use that as like, whoa, she might as well stay home Oscars night. I mean, you know, that's crazy. But she did get BAFTA, so she's still in the hunt. And they love The Brutalist. You know, it's the same argument I made with The Substance. If The Brutalist gets all those nominations, and they're nominating it for all the top of the line categories, right? Except supporting actor, because I don't think they have it. Oh no, Guy Pearce. Yeah, so Guy Pearce. So all of them. So they're gonna most likely have a nominee in every top of the line category, and probably like they could get up to like 11, like 10 or 11 nominations for The Brutalist. That makes a strong case for Felicity Jones because she comes with that. It comes as a package, right? If the Academy loves The Brutalist here, why don't they love it here? You know? But it's also the same argument I have for Margaret Qualley for The Substance, because I feel like that's going to probably not as many as The Brutalist, and Coralie could get snubbed, which would piss me off, because then this all falls apart. Because when I'm making these predictions, when this video comes out in a few days, I'll talk about it on the video, but I'm going to predict these acting categories based on what the cast, the rest of the cast, the director, etc., are doing. The text. That's why I'm not going to predict Danielle Deadwyler, because it would be the sole nomination for that movie. It's highly unlikely that that would happen. Although we have the Andrea Riseborough of it all, but I mean, as far as predictions go, it's highly unlikely. All right, guys, so Qualley or Jones? What am I doing, or what would you do here? What would you do? Let's see. Ariana got in for Critics' Choice. Let me check. Maybe I missed that. I freaking hope she did. Oh, let's see. Did she get in there? Where is she? Yep. Bam. Who said that? Marco. Thank you, Marco. Let me update that. Thank God. Yeah, she's a shoo-in. As if there was a doubt, which there wasn't. So she's a shoo-in right here. It also puts her really stiff competition with her, right? I mean, the only major difference is she won the Globe, but they all got all the major precursors. Both of them did. Ariana Grande and Zoe Saldana. And I said this in my last predictions video, if I go up here real quick. Right there. It's these two. It's these two. Wake up Oscars morning, flip a coin. It's these two. The reason I haven't moved them yet is because of the love for Amelia Perez. Now, if I was casting a ballad and somebody gave me a ballad with Ariana Grande on it from Wicked and Zoe Saldana, I'm going to pick Ariana Grande. Even though I will admit Saldana had an amazing performance in that film. But she's also a lead in that movie, which kind of pisses me off a little bit too. Some people might even say Ariana Grande is a lead or co-lead. But I think Arrivo leads that film pretty sure-handedly, and Ariana's there as support, really, which is what the story kind of is anyway. In Amelia Perez, Saldana, we're her POV the whole time, and we're following her like the whole damn movie, you know. And not only that, the Amelia Perez character in the film, I can't connect to because of the criminal aspect and like the weird motivations that her character has for doing different things. So, you know, so it's a valid argument. It really is. I think it's going to be one of these two. And I've always said Zoe, and I'm still saying Zoe because of that Amelia Perez tag. You know, I don't want it to win Best Picture, and hopefully it won't, but I think it's going to get some text. I think Zoe Saldana has it. I prefer Grande. I really do. All right, who do I put in the fifth here? Let's who's got me? Marco, thank you for that, man. I thought that was strange because when I was looking at it, I thought that she did too, but then I was like, well, I guess not. But thank you for correcting that mistake. Let's see. LOM says, critics say they couldn't finish The Brutalist. Okay. I don't think Felicity Jones is going to get nominated. Barbara might get in. See, that's the kind of like cutting edge feedback I need here, guys. This is going to be my final video. Last year, my buddy Yaney, if he's still here, can tell you, last year I did really fucking good. I think I got like 75 to 80% of my nominations correct, which is a lot for me, for me at least. So I don't want to go down. I want to go up, you know. I'm going to be better than 75% on Thursday when they come out. You know, Barbaro, is it LOM or LOM? That you know, Barbaro is riding a complete unknown momentum. You're 100% right about her having a shot. I don't know if the shot is so surefire that I'm like ready to predict it if it happened. Like when she got nominated for SAG, you can go back on my channel actually and watch that live reaction because I read, they did the press release for it or whatever. So I pulled it up on my computer as I was streaming and opened the page, and that was when I found out. And when I saw her name, because she was the first one on there, I mean, I was like ecstatic. She's so damn good in that movie as Joan Baez, and the chemistry with Chalamet, and the fact that she's not like a seasoned actress, She learned to sing those songs beautifully, by the way. Great performance. Really good. I mean, it was really, really good. And she does have the momentum. I think the momentum of that film and the Academy's history of getting in bed with any music biopic that comes along does stand a good shot for her. It really does. So LOM's messing me up here because I had, which I appreciate though, but I had Jones or Qualley. But he's right, he or she, I'm sorry, is right about Barbara though. She does have a chance. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, that's what we just discovered, Marco, thanks to your help. But yeah, man. I mean, really the only edge that Zoe has over Ari is, I mean, the Golden Globe win, but, well, with the win, you could say her speech. I mean, it was a great speech. It was emotional. And I mentioned this on my last video, but Zoe Saldana is not like your typical actress because, I mean, if you look up her name on IMDb, I should do that right now with you guys. I don't know if there's anybody that has made more money at the box office being top billed in movies. I mean, this chick is in every billion-dollar franchise that exists today. So she really is a important figure in Hollywood and has never been awarded. And she did have an amazing speech. I think it's category fraud. I think she's a co-lead. But they do category fraud every year. I mean, every year you're like, what? I mean, last year they had Lily Gladstone in lead, and she's supporting. And she probably would have won supporting, which is a sad thing. Because Emma Stone beat her at the last minute for lead actress last year. All right, I think, let's see, who's got me? Anybody got? Catherine says, Grande's brilliant performance in Wicked has been well received. I think she has a chance of winning the Oscar. Yeah. Man, how crazy would that be? I'm into that. I am into that. I really am. It's rare, even as closely as I follow award season. I will say this about her performance. It's rare that I go see a film, and the minute I walk out of the theater, I change my predictions to whoever the performance that moved me. When I saw her in Wicked, I got to remember, I don't think any pundits that I know were predicting her prior to like the week the movie came out and reviews started to come out. And I was one of those people that when I walked out of that theater, I said, holy shit, Ariana Grande, LFG, like do your thing as Glinda. Glinda. She's so good in it. She really is. And all these nominations are deserved. She doesn't have a win yet. It's just the Globe so far, really. But she has been winning some critics groups here and there. I do my own award show that my followers vote on, and they nominated her in a field of 6, and it's supporting and lead mixed together. And they said, it was like, I don't know, 200-something people. They said she was one of the 6 top performances of the year, female. So, I mean, who am I? But there's something to be said for that, too. It's kind of a snapshot of where we are. She is very well-beloved. She's young. She's popular. No pun intended. Okay, I got to figure out this 5th spot, though. We did that one already? Yes, we did. Oh, wait, that's the same comment. And LOM says everybody's sleeping on a complete unknown. I loved it, man. I got to see it like a month early, and I walked out of that thing going, this is the bee's knees right here. This is going to be, thank God. I mean, Rocket Man was good, but I mean, a lot of these music biopics in the last like 10 years are just kind of like, play a couple songs and do drugs and, the credits roll. You know what I mean? A Complete Unknown was not seeking to be that kind of standard biopic. And I also like that it didn't really tell you anything about the enigma that is Bob Dylan. It just kind of showed you it. This is the early 60s. It's Dylan. Here he is. But it's coming alive. LOM. It is coming alive. People are, like I said, it's probably got the most momentum right now. That movie has the most momentum right now. All right. I can't do polls on this thing. Throw it up in the chat. Do I do Felicity Jones or do I do Margaret Qualley? Those are the two. I think it's going to be one of those two. And I'm basing that off of although Barbaro too, though. And I'm only pausing for a second because Barbaro is going to fall into the criteria I'm about to say too. But the reason I was thinking Jones and Qualley and now Barbaro is because of how many additional nominations those movies are going to get. The Brutalist is probably the most among them. I think The Brutalist is probably looking at 10 to 12 nominations. And it's going to get some wins too. I mean, Brody's probably going to win, even though I'm pulling for Timmy. He has a good chance to win, let's just say that. Brady Corbet is going to win. It's got a good shot at picture. What do I do? PJ says do both and take Rossellini out. That could happen. I mean, that really could happen. But I do think Conclave is such a Academy-friendly movie. All right, you guys are just going to make me pull the trigger here. Amelia Perez dropped down to a 2.7 on the Letterboxd. I hope so, but you got to remember, Catherine, the voting ended today, and why do they love this thing? We're talking about I mentioned Green Book earlier, and I'm not trying to get political or whatever, but I wonder if they're trying to show their allegiance to the trans community by showering down on Amelia Perez. When you have a movie like I Saw the TV Glow that came out this year from Jane Schoenbrunn. Talk about a name that should be in the directing conversation. I mean, what are we doing? Amelia Perez is, I already mentioned, offensive. It's not, even if you take the PC stuff out of it, it's not really a good movie. I mean, the songs weren't good, with the exception of that one number that Zoe's going to win for original song, El Mal. But other than that, not good. Not a good film. I just don't know why I've accepted it. In the beginning, in like October or so, when it started to kind of like over and over and over again show up, definitely into November, I was like, I hated that movie. What? But I've accepted it now because it's not missing. And Catherine, you and I are eye to eye, but be ready. Because this one's also going to get 10 plus nominations, Oscars morning. They love it. I don't get it, but they love it. It'll be one of the worst. It would be one of the worst, like top 10 worst Best Picture wins if it won. I'm not even joking. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not trying to be mean even. It's just my opinion. All right. Let's see. Freda says Zoe Saldana will be collecting her Oscar in March. Ariana has a horrid reputation in Hollywood of being a homewrecker. I did not know that. I need to get up on my Google, I guess. I was not aware of that. As a performer, I love her, but I didn't know anything about her personally like that. That could play into it too. I mean, a lot of people were saying that's why Angelina Jolie kept missing. We'll get there in a second when we get to lead actress, because of her reputation in Hollywood and being mean to people and, like whatever. So, I mean, that could play into it too. I think she's definitely getting nominated though. There's no way she's not getting nominated. I think I still have Zoe winning, but it's a fluid situation. It really is. But I have Zoe winning because of that camaraderie that the Academy or the industry seems to have with Amelia Perez. All right, so for my fifth spot, so we can go on to the next category. I'm probably going to do, who said that? Was it PJ or LOM? Said Monica Barbaro. He might be onto something there. So I'm thinking of momentum for that movie. Oh, God. I wish I could do a poll in the chat. So Felicity Jones, Monica Barbaro, Margaret Qualley. Throw up a name. Who would you guys pick between those three? Jones, Qualley, Barbaro. That's one of those are your fifth. Danielle Dedgeweiler or Ellis Taylor would be a Hail Mary. And I would be shocked. LOM says Barbaro. Anybody for Qualley or Jones in that fifth spot? Does anybody feel confident like that's your fifth supporting actress? Freda says Qualley. You guys are going to do this thing where you're going to get everybody's going to say one, right? Yeah, Margaret Qualley. Yeah, I got you. That was where I was leaning, but the opposite of Barbaro, Freda, is her Qualley's momentum is slowly waning, where Barbaro's is on the upward trend, and voting ended today. So in the last week, since the fires kind of died down, who are they voting for? If they're checking the news or watching the, whatever, talking to their friends in the industry. A complete unknown, to LOM's point, is through the roof with momentum right now. Whereas the substance is too, but Margaret Qualley is getting left out of a lot of those conversations because it's Demi Moore's narrative right now. Let's see. Love, let me go down and highlight these so you guys can see them too. PJ says Qualley just because I don't see actors nominate Demi and not Qualley. That's true. That's true, but that's why I'm having trouble because that's the same. Or you mean because it's like a co-lead situation? What I was going to say is that's kind of the same issue I'm having with all three of them because they're all kind of two-handers with their respective leads, with the exception of Felicity Jones. I mean, frankly, I think Felicity Jones has a good shot to get in for the fifth, but frankly, I think she's probably the least deserving on this list, aside from maybe Selena. I mean, I love Selena, but she wasn't, great in that film, in my opinion. Also, it's Amelia Perez, so I'm naturally going to hate on it. But definitely if you're talking about, Barbaro and Qualley, the two of them are necessary to create that chemistry in the movie, right? Which is kind of what you're saying, I think. Love Margaret in the substance, but I would go for Jones or Barbaro. Give me one, Burkan. Give me one. Because I don't know what to do. I really, it's even worse than supporting actor, which I'm about to look at next. And I've been looking at this thing for 30 minutes? I got to pick my fifth. I think I'm going to go with momentum right now. And that's going to be your fifth. Monica Barbaro for a complete unknown. I think a complete unknown is going to show up big on Thursday. I really do. I mean, it's even getting nominated for costumes and stuff. And it's just them in their clothes. I mean, yeah. I'm not trying to be mean. I mean, I know it's not easy to recreate 1962 or whatever, but I mean, all right, so then for yellows, real quick, so we can go to the next category. I think the only real threatening yellows are Felicity Jones. She's probably 6. Margaret Qualley's probably 7. Very close, though. That's what I'm going with. So, unless I change my mind before Monday when I record the video, which I don't really know why I would because I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. I don't know what to do. Grande, Isabella Rossellini, Jamie Lee Curtis. If you guys had told me a week ago even that I would be putting Jamie Lee Curtis in my final Oscar predictions, I would have literally slapped myself across the face. But here we are. I think she's third. I think she's in. I mean, it's the fucking craziest thing in the world to me. And I love her. I mean, I don't want that to be mistaken, but I just, I mean, look at some of these names we're passing up here. Monica Barbaro and Zoe Saldana, who I also currently think is going to be the winner. So that's what I'm going with. The yellows are the spoiler alerts, the two alternates. Keep your eye out for those. They're interchangeable. I mean, Barbaro, Qualley, and Jones are interchangeable. Draw straws, whatever. Do whatever Ouija board you want to do or whatever. Nobody knows. I'm picking Barbaro. Tomorrow you watch somebody's channel, they pick Jones. I mean, nobody knows. That's what's exciting about award season. And not only that, the precursors aren't helping us because there's no consistency really, with the exception of these like Grande and Zaldana, top two. But other than that, we don't know what the hell's going on. Jamie Lee Curtis? All right. Let's see. Supporting actor is, I fear, going to be even harder. Although there's fewer names to deal with from who's gotten precursors. Let me go over to my website and see who else I had, because I think I had a couple that have actually not gotten precursors. So the reason I moved everybody up last week when I did my predictions is because I had to drop down my number one, which was Clarence Macklin. He was my number one for like 2 months for Sing Sing. And then look at this. Look. Missed. What the fuck? I don't think there's anybody in Hollywood watching. What are we doing if you are, though? If you watch this later. What? It really is a shame. I talked about it on my last video. Actually, the SAG reaction video, I talked about it. That we didn't nominate Clarence Macklin is the craziest shit. That's like borderline Denis not getting nominated for director, where I'm just like, because I feel like it's objectively like a brilliant performance from a guy that has barely acted in front of a camera. And it was so natural. Man, every time I think about that, it just makes me sad for Clarence Macklin. Now, we're about to go through it. He could still get in, which would be because he does have the two precursors. And he does have a little momentum because he got the BAFTA when he wasn't expected to. And Sing Sing performed horribly at the Screen Actors Guild. I mean, it was a bloodbath. I don't think they got anything except for Coleman Domingo. All right, so greens. Your front runner all award season is this dude, Kieran Culkin. By the way, I don't agree with that. If anybody cares, I think Clarence Macklin should be winning that, but he might not even get nominated. But Kieran Culkin is the front runner, and then I think he's right behind him. I think is probably Guy Pearce. He's definitely green, though. You guys stop me if I'm messing this up. LOM, bro. Why are you bringing that energy in here? Will you hear what I did Best Picture? I left it in. I left it in because of my heart, man. You're right. It shouldn't get in based on the report card and the resume. It should be what? It should be Nickel Boys or September 5. What are you going to do? You'll remember me Thursday morning when it gets, if it gets nominated, you'll remember me. You'll go back to this page, you'll be like, that fucking guy knew what he was talking about. I can't believe Sing Sing got in. We'll see. What was I looking at? Anytime Sing Sing pops up, my whole body starts vibrating. I got to see what everybody's talking about. I think Guy Pearce is green. He's probably number 2, no problem. What else we got? Yeah, I'm with you, Freda. It's like, I mean, think of this like, think if you acted in a film opposite Coleman Domingo or whatever your favorite actress is or actor, and then you ended up being in the awards conversation for it. Think of how that feels, you know what I mean? But then think of how that feels to have the recognition, and then when it comes to your peers voting on whether you're one of their best, you don't get it. And I'm talking about the Screen Actors Guild specifically. That was just a shame. That was a shame. And I'm not British, but I'm proud of the BAFTAs. I mean, that was awesome that they gave him. I knew the Critics' Choice would, because that's people like me. We fucking know that that's a good performance, that that's a real performance. You know what I mean? That deserves recognition. I agree with you. Catherine says Guy Pearce could still win at BAFTA. That's absolutely true. Great performance by him. I was shocked that he missed SAG. But then again, SAG went fucking AWOL. I mean, they nominated Jonathan Bailey. Edward Norton stayed in the. I mean, Edward Norton's in too, by the way. He's my third. He's another one that was similar to. We were talking earlier about who was it? It was on this list. It was I was thinking about him. I think maybe Rossellini, but he's another one that's like keeps doing it, just like Rossellini in the other category. They keep showing up, and I keep going. All right, well, if he's going to show up, he's going to show up. So he's showing up. Look at this. Edward Norton is showing up. He's green. He's third. He might even be second. It might be Culkin, Norton, Pierce right now. But I think that's the top three. I absolutely agree with you that I've already said it. I had a whole damn video about it. By the way, you guys make sure you watch my video edit that I did, because I spent 4 days editing it out here in my garage. I was up till like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning the last like 3 nights. I'm really proud of it. It's like a video countdown of my top 10 movies of the year, and it just went up today. But I'm like, I just started playing around with it, and then it's only like an 8-minute video, but I started playing around with it, and I wanted it to be perfect, and like video editing can be time consuming. But I'm proud of it. I think it turned out good. But the reason I thought about that is because Sing Sing's all over my video. Like I think it's a brilliant film, and I wish it was getting a little more recognition across the board. It's just not. SAG is full of influencers, reporters, and TikTokers. Yeah. It's starting to, the wave is, well, of course, TikTok got banned. Is that today, or I think it's today or tomorrow? Who knows? TikTok got banned, right? I know it was like the court was voting on it or something like that. I think it's supposed to go into effect like now. I haven't been on TikTok in like a week, so I don't know, but I think it might be done, at least for a while. All right, so I think Yuri Borisov's in as your fourth for Anora, and thank God, great performance. Great movie. Who here has seen Anora? But I fucking, that's another one that was in my video of the best of the year. I love that movie so much. Okay. Same scenario. Who is the fifth? Now, I think it's either Strong or Macklin, right? Somebody tell me. That's right? Jeremy Strong would be for The Apprentice. Clarence Macklin, obviously, for Sing Sing. Now, what messes me up on my predictions, if I decide to do this kind of feeling, hunch way of it, if I get one wrong, I get multiple wrong. So if you remember when I was looking at that 10th spot for picture, I went with my heart and my desire for Sing Sing to be recognized as the best of the remaining bunch, with the exception of maybe Nosferatu, but also factoring in like the likelihood of it getting nominated. I think the likelihood of Sing Sing is a little bit higher than Nosferatu right now. Although if Nosferatu got nominated for picture, I mean, I would run out in the street in front of my house naked. I mean, I'd be so excited. I don't think my neighbors would be, but that's beside the point. So if I do that heart thing again, to stay consistent, I would pick Clarence Macklin here. I think he's probably number 6 anyway, if he doesn't get in. So it's going to be close. He's got Critics' Choice. He's got BAFTA. This is the 3rd or 4th time I've said this on the video, but I'm pretty sure BAFTA has the most crossover in the acting branch with the Academy. So that's pretty telling that he got nominated there. And that's the last major awards precursor nominees, well, with the exception of the PGA because it got delayed, but not really acting categories in that. So my heart is telling me to do Clarence Macklin because that's the right thing to do, and I've had him at number 1 since September. So now I'm going to not have him in there at all. Just seems fucking crazy to me. But Jeremy Strong would be his other competition, which, by the way, Strong was brilliant in The Apprentice, as was Stan. We'll get there in a second. What do you guys think? Nick says, thoughts on people saying that certain actors or actresses will get voted in opposite categories, leading or supporting, like Zoe and Kieran. We talked about that, or we didn't talk about it, but I mentioned it earlier when I was doing the supporting actress predictions, because on that tab, I've got Zoe winning the Oscar, but she's definitely getting nominated. And she's a lead in that film. I mean, you're right. I mean, she's, at a minimum, she's a co-lead. Kieran Culkin is a co-lead in A Real Pain. So they're the two front runners to win. They're the two that I'm predicting to win. So what's going to happen now, if that stays true, and I'm not saying their performances are bad, but from a category perspective, what's going to happen now is 2 lead actors are going to win supporting awards. So if you take, just to make it interesting, we haven't got to lead actor yet, but look at this group, which is really stout, by the way. And if you put Kieran Culkin's name in here, he doesn't even get nominated, bro. Maybe the 5th spot, maybe. But if you put Kieran Culkin in this group right here of lead actor, there's like a 75% chance he doesn't even get a nomination. Okay? But he's in supporting, and he's going to win it. So, from a strategic standpoint, the studio was smart, right? Because their movie's going to get recognized. Their actor is going to be on stage all award season because he's in a category that was weaker. And frankly, he has a leading role that he's campaigning for supporting for. Similarly, you got Zoe Saldana here, right? You're telling me if you put Zoe Saldana in here with her on-screen co-lead, Carlos Sofia Gasson, who's going to take that spotlight for Emilia Perez? Same thing. You know, now, in fairness, the lead actor and the lead actress performance nominees are always a little more competitive. There's just so many great lead performances that really carry a lot of their projects. But we did touch on that a little bit, Nick, and I agree with you that it's just weird, you know. But at the same time, guess what? The Academy does this shit every year. I could pull up the Wikipedia page right now for Oscar nominees for the last like 90 years, and I guarantee you every single year there is an actor or actress nominated in the opposite category. Whether that's supporting for lead, like Lily last year. Lily Gladstone should have been supporting, and she would have won the Academy Award, most likely. But her and Emma Stone, I mean, you didn't know. I picked Emma Stone on Oscars night, and I didn't want to. I wanted Lily to win that award. My point is, it happens every year. I don't really know how they can even fix it, you know, unless they somehow try to write screen time into the criteria or something like that. But let's just nominate great performances and put them where they belong. You know what I mean? It's a weird thing, though, Nick. I agree with you. So it's either Macklin or Strong. Let's go back there real quick. Okay, so Jonathan Bailey's, that was just a SAG thing. You know, he's cute. His hair is nice. Let's nominate him. They fucking loved Wicked, so I'm surprised they didn't nominate one of the damn monkeys in it, you know. They love that thing. I mean, it's good. It's better than Emilia Perez, but I was really surprised to see the Jonathan Bailey. And then you talk about somebody like Macklin not getting it. You know, nothing against Bailey, but it's like a slap in the face to the craft of acting. You know, put those two things next to each other. You know what I mean? All right, so drop it in the chat. If you yourself were picking that 5th spot, and only give me one name between Macklin or Strong. Who's getting in? Jeremy Strong had the Golden Globe nomination, and he got the SAG, which is big. But both of them have the BAFTA, which is the largest crossover with the Academy voters. So they both have, basically, you would think, similar support in that crossover with the BAFTA. I got one Strong. I got one Macklin. Jeremy Strong is the head pick. Macklin's the heart pick. If I want to factor narrative into it at all, the inauguration of Donald Trump is in 2 days. That movie, The Apprentice, is about Donald Trump. And Jeremy Strong doesn't play Trump, but he's a friend of Trump's. He's basically a mentor to him for the majority of the movie. Fucking lights out performance by Strong in that movie. But is the Academy going to stay away from that because of the Trump connection? Now, what's ironic about that, speaking to my liberal friends that might be watching or watching later, what's ironic about that is if The Apprentice were to get nominated, Strong, Stan, really anything, that's going to piss Trump off because it's an anti-Trump movie. So by staying away from it, you're basically doing what Trump wants you to do. He wants everybody to ignore it. He came out and said he hated it, and didn't, paint him in a good light. But, I mean, you are who you are, I would say, But with that being said, all that kind of sidebar stuff out of the way, Jeremy Strong does give a phenomenal performance, and he has a really strong resume of precursors. Let's see. So we got a Strong, we got Macklin, another Macklin with a question mark. Sing Sing has a better chance of being a Best Picture nominee. I put it in at my 10th, Screen Chronicles. I put it in at my 10th spot. I went Heart. The PGA rarely, I saw this stat the other day. I should pull up ChatGPT and have her tell me real quick. But the PGA rarely does the 10 picture nominees for PGA translate to the 10 for the Oscars. I think it's happened like twice or something. One of them was last year. But we're talking about 30 plus years of this shit. So that's not a high percentage. So I'm always, until that tide starts changing a little bit, I'm always going to say somebody's missing. And for me, it was September 5. I did leave a real pain in there over something like Nosferatu or even September 5 because it has the screenplay strength. It's probably going to win the screenplay. I can't remember if I had it produced. I'll look at that. I'm going to do bottom of the line separate video. And then obviously the Kieran Culkin factor too is he's going to be all award season. He's going to be front and center. He's probably going to sweep the season. So a real pain is stronger in that respect too. Yes, Jimmy, 100%. And Jimmy brings up a good point because the Oscars and the Globes too, frankly, and they also nominated him. So that is a telling statistic that you're throwing out there. But the Academy is more international than it's ever been. Same thing with the Globes. So when I do these predictions, it is a different game now because you do have to kind of try to factor in like how many Americans are voting for this, how many Americans like this, etc. Not when you talk about international picture, but just the regular top of the line categories. And Jimmy's right with his comment on the screen there because BAFTA has the most crossover. And that, along with the Golden Globe nomination, would signify that a lot of international voters voted for it or voted for that actor. Clarence Macklin didn't get the Globes, but he did get BAFTA. So on the strength of the international vote, inherently, by default, you would say Strong has a stronger, no pun intended, turnout for that. What I'm going on, and I said this earlier, and you guys can screenshot this shit if you want. I might change something before Monday, but I'm going to try not to. And I would have to be swayed. Basically, what I'm picking tonight is what's going to be in my video. But I said this earlier. When it comes to a movie like Sing Sing, you're going to have to be, I'm all in on Sing Sing. And every single bet that I'm making on it is probably 80% heart, 20% head. Same thing with Macklin here. The resume and the precursor content says that Jeremy Strong's getting in here. But from a heart perspective and from the passion vote, and I'm saying this with as much objectivity as I can have, I just don't see a lover of film, a cinephile, if you will, which you would imagine the Academy voters love movies or they wouldn't be in the goddamn Academy. I don't see that type of person watching Macklin and Sing Sing, knowing that he's among the shortlisted actors, and not vote for him. I just literally can't envision it. That's why the Screen Actors Guild snub was so baffling to me. Now, if he had gotten the SAG nomination there, forget it. He's probably second or third right now. He would have been brought back to life, and then he would have had BAFTA. Man, that dude would be on a cloud right now. But that didn't happen. The SAG miss is huge and surprising. It's definitely between him and Strong, but you know what? Let's see, are you guys giving me anything there? Sing Sing, screenplay, yeah. That could happen too. Although Fred, some people were saying it might miss for screenplay because of how poorly it's been doing as of late. You know, BAFTA was literally like a damn, what do you call the things where you like resuscitate them or whatever? That's what the BAFTAs did with Sing Sing. They were like, clear, and they, tried to bring it back to life. I mean, honestly, if it had missed BAFTA, it probably wouldn't even be on my damn spreadsheet. I mean, it would have been deader than dead had it missed BAFTA, but it got in there, and that is a huge international vote. I'm going to stay with my heart on this one too. Nobody in the chat swayed me, which is fine. I don't necessarily want you to, but if I get swayed before Monday when I do my video, then so be it. Jeremy Strong is the 6th. Denzel would be the 7th, but I'm not even going to yellow him because I think he's out. He just missed way too many. I mean, the SAG. I mean, nobody loves Denzel more than the Screen Actors Guild. I'll tell you right now. I think he's been nominated for every damn movie he's ever starred in, and they didn't give him a nomination for Gladiator 2. They freaking hated that movie. It was entertaining, but I mean, we're not giving it awards. Who else did I have on my list here? Yeah, I mean, these last few were just Hail Marys, so I'm fine not having them on the spreadsheet as being in contention. That's basically what you're looking at there. Jeremy Strong would be your spoiler. He would basically pop in for Clarence Macklin. I don't think any of the other guys miss. I think Norton, Pierce, Culkin, Borisov are in. I really do. I don't, Borisov could miss if Honora is divisive with the Academy because of the sex and whatever. But Sean Baker, typically his movies perform really well with the Academy, and it's the same type of film, and it's nothing they haven't seen before. So I'm confident leaving Borisov in there. All right, I'm going to get through a couple more. I got to do the lead, right? I just didn't do lead yet. Lead actress. What do you guys want to do first? You want to do actress or actor? Oh, my God. I think actor is easier. Maybe I'll start there. I'm in the danger zone because I'm almost out of water. Okay. Excuse me. I think actor is easier, so let's go. Top 4 are green. No problem. Brody. Chalamet. Coleman. Ray Fiennes for Conclave. I also think Daniel Craig's in, but I will entertain a discussion here for Sebastian Stan. Really, that's it. I was going to say Hugh Grant too, but he missed too many. He got the BAFTAs, but he's like, if there were baseball cards for countries, Britain would have Hugh Grant on their baseball card. So that's not really a huge precursor in my opinion. What do we think, guys? I mean, is Daniel Craig a shoe-in for that 5th spot? You know, Sebastian Stan has been showing up. Weirdly, he won the Globe for a different performance, was equally as good in A Different Man. Wasn't even nominated for The Apprentice, and then he comes to the BAFTAs and is nominated for The Apprentice, which is 2 performances. I think the reason why I'm more comfortable staying with Craig for that 5th spot is because Stan's taking away his own votes. Right? He's being campaigned in both movies. I mean, he's not going to get nominated. You can't get nominated for 2 in the same category. So, I think it's Craig. Does anybody not think it's Craig? Let's see. Yeah, that's the SAG 5, right? Yeah, that's what I was going to do as well. Yep, because that's Craig, and Craig got in there, and when he got in there, I said it right away. I was like, oh, well, there's the Oscar 5. That was it. You know, they could have mixed it up a little bit, but they didn't, which makes this one a little bit easier. I think the curveballs or the Hail Marys would be the 2 names in yellow. I don't think anybody else really has a shot. I would be surprised. Let's put it that way. I think Eisenberg is going to get his recognition for screenplay. And deservedly so. The performance was, I mean, it wasn't bad, but it's not like, oh my God, give that guy an Oscar. I think that's what we're looking at. I think actor is probably the most, easiest category to predict this year. I think, let me get some comments over here. Sorry. I think that the 5 is the only thing that worries me about it, and this could just be me being paranoid, but the only thing that worries me about it is that's been my 5 for 2 months. So that just seems strange to me that I predicted the Oscar 5 in September. That just seems weird. I feel like that can't be real, but maybe it is. Maybe I knew what I was talking about, at least in this one category. I think the 2 upsets to look out for would be Sebastian Stan first, and that is contingent upon what I think Jimmy said earlier, if the international body shows up for it. If they show up for it, if you see Jeremy Strong's name when they do the announcements, because typically supporting is first. If you see Jeremy Strong announced on Thursday, perk up. Perk up. It could be Sebastian Stan. If you don't hear Strong's name, Stan probably misses. Real quick, I'll just tell you, I think I'm sticking with Timmy. I think, what do I have? Let me go up so I'm not lying to you guys. Let's see. Actor. Let's see. Yeah, I'm sticking with Timmy. I think it's probably only a matter of time that I'm going to have to eat crow and leapfrog Brady and switch him, or Brody, I'm sorry, and switch him. I'm pulling for Timmy. I'm not even joking. You guys can go back and watch if you want. When I did Oscar predictions, super early last year, in the summer of 23, I predicted Timmy to be nominated then because they thought A Complete Unknown was coming out that year, and it got postponed to this year. I've been predicting this guy for 2 years. I mean, the guy became Bob Dylan. He learned how to play harmonica. For 7 years, he prepared for the role. He was doing Bob Dylan concerts for his Dune 2 castmates. He's going on SNL next weekend. Too bad the voting is over already. That would have been a damn... he's great. He's great. I hope he wins. Now, what Brody did in The Brutalist is phenomenal. I'm not taking anything away from Brody's performance. I just prefer Chalamet's. That's where I'm at right now, but I think it's probably going to be Adrian Brody. And when I do my video on Monday, luckily I'm only predicting the nominees. I'll get into my winner predictions in a few weeks, but yeah, what was this? The Screen Chronicles. If Sebastian Stan gets in, it's because of that stellar campaign. It's a worthy performance, but to me, I think Hollywood would have ignored The Apprentice. Yeah, yeah. Freda thinks Stan's getting in. We will know the international support for The Apprentice when they announce supporting actor. Because if they give strong enough votes to nominate him over a brilliant performance like Macklin, I think Stan's name will be called. I don't think you get one without the other, personally. I would be surprised if you got one without the other. But you're not wrong. He could absolutely get in. Freda also says that Brody's winning with ease. Freda, let me dream here, okay? It's like midnight in my garage. Let me dream. I want Timmy to get it. I really do. He should have won for Call Me By Your Name in 2017. I mean, Timmy's been doing literally nothing but Oscar-worthy performances. I mean, even his turn as Wonka was like a freaking breathtaking performance. But I will say, Freda, you're probably right. You're probably right. PJ says music biopic actors can't win anymore. Well, I see what you're saying because of the Bohemian Rhapsody trauma. See, I was going to point to Bohemian Rhapsody, but now I see what you're saying. Yeah, but this is not even close, man. And I love Taron Egerton and Rocket Man too. I see you mentioned him there. He was in the conversation that year, but didn't get it. I don't know, man. I saw Rami Malek, who I like, but in that role, I saw him as like a parody, like a caricature of Freddie Mercury, Whereas Timmy, like, harnessed it, He just harnessed the aura of it, I did not like the Rami Malek win, and I think it may have tainted music biopics. You might be right. If Stan is in, which film will get him in? He won the Globe for A Different Man. Yeah, I know. I think, weirdly, the substance has me questioning this a little bit more because initially I thought, well, A Different Man's going to be too weird for the Academy. It's a really indie, dark comedy, like, just kind of strange watch. I really liked it, but it's a really strange movie. But they're probably going to nominate The Substance across the board, and that's much stranger, in my opinion. So that argument kind of falls flat. I think it would be, that's the problem, is that he's splitting his vote. If I were to pick one, I would pick for The Apprentice. I think that's a more digestible performance for them to take in, knowing the history of the Academy. It could be A Different Man. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked because he was brilliant in it. But if I had to pick, I would take The Apprentice. I think Brody is winning. The Academy is going to Leo DiCaprio Timmy. God help us all. He has to go fight a bear in the wilderness to get a freaking Oscar. Who said that? Oh, never mind. I'm fine with you, Screaming. You're fine. You're fine. Yeah. You're right, Jimmy. You're right. I'm probably gonna change it. Right now, I'm just doing my nominations predictions, and I think both of them are getting nominated. But I think that Brody is probably going to end up being your winner. But I just want to see how the season goes before I bury Timmy. I've had him in the lead. I want to be a hero if it pans out. Absolutely, that statement's true. Timmy was definitely much better than Rami Malek. Okay, so we can get off lead actor. That's basically where we're at. The SAG 5 is the Oscar 5, I think. Again, it would be a situation where, like, the international voters were enough to sway the love for The Apprentice. If they freaking love The Apprentice and it shows up big, then Daniel Craig's in trouble. Because Queer is also a really strange watch, by the way. But I think that's the 5, with Sebastian Stan right on the outside. And Hugh Grant would be like a holy shit moment that we would get on Oscars morning, which I don't not see it, because people love Hugh Grant typically. But I'm not going to predict it, because it would be a long shot situation. If you're a betting odds person and it's like 100, 1 to 100 or whatever, maybe you want to put $10 down on that. because it is possible, but it's a long shot. All right, last one we're going to look at. Holy Lord in heaven. All right, this one's got me, guys. Here we go. Start throwing out some greens for the final five. I think we're probably looking at Demi Moore walking away with it, which, by the way, is crazy for an Oscar performance. I'm so happy about that. I will tell you, though, as much as I love horror, you can look behind me, and as much as I love Demi Moore, I would vote for Mikey Madison, for Honora. And I said this in a video a couple weeks ago, that and this was even before the Demi Moore train started at the Globes, she's got that early front runner curse. She does. Mikey Madison has been the front runner since Cannes, I think, which was, I think, in March or April. Literally since April, she's been the front runner for the Academy Award. No way she's going to coast it to the win. Just never happens. Rarely does the early buzz front runner end up winning the Oscar. Usually something else comes along that people didn't know about or took people by surprise. In this case, it was Demi Moore in The Substance. She fits that role. Her narrative fits a win, too. Aside from the movie and the performance, which was brilliant, she has the narrative. Hollywood's going to want to award her. Whereas Mikey Madison may have given a better performance or an equally as impressive performance, but she's 25 years old. She could do anything she wants now after being in that Baker film. And the same thing with Chalamet, to y'all's point about Adrian Brody, too. I think that's your top two, though. I don't think that's really changed. Let's see. We got some Demi Moores. Yeah, Carla's my third, too. I'm getting her in a second. Mikey, yeah, Freda. You're bringing it back. You're coming back, Freda. I do think Mikey's still in the race. Here's the thing. I don't think, now, of course, I could be wrong. This is all speculation. This whole thing I do for fun is speculation. But I don't think we are in a Lily Gladstone, Emma Stone situation from last year. Because if you guys remember, when they started handing out awards, it was back and forth. It was like Emma won, Lily won. Emma won, Lily won. Then we go to Oscar, Emma won. They literally took turns. It was like, whose turn is it? I don't think we're in a situation like that. I think we're in a situation where it's going to be Demi Moore on camera at all these award shows. I think she's going to continuously get named as the winner. And the problem, that's why I think that, and especially with voting ending today, why that hurt Mikey Madison, is because they haven't had a chance to see her interact with an awards accolade yet. She hasn't had any stage time with an awards body. And I know that sounds silly, but I'm just telling you right now, when Demi Moore, and I think I did a live reaction right after the Globes, which is still on the channel if you want to check it out. But when Demi Moore got off the stage from giving her speech, when she won that award at the Globes, and she said that this is the first time my peers have recognized me in 45 years in this town. And she was crying and she was shaking, and Rumor Willis and her family put up the video of them watching her win. When she got off that stage, that was it. That speech and that authenticity to her reaction to being recognized for what she's done her whole life versus a newcomer that's just starting that journey. Performance-wise, I think Mikey deserves it. But everything else and the narrative around the two actresses, and not only that, the precursors that are probably going to come leading up to the Oscars, I think it's Demi Moore's. If I was casting a ballot, I would vote for Mikey. And that's coming from somebody that would give anything for horror to have more Oscars, so it's ironic. But Mikey Madison was one of my favorite ghost faces in Scream, so still got a little horror connection there. I think those are the top two. Let's see. Mikey Madison's character has no arc or character development. I mean, the character development piece I get. I'll give you that. She is pretty much the same Annie in the movie, but a very vulnerable performance nonetheless. And the emotions that she goes through and the experiences that she has over the course of that week or whatever in the movie, that has an arc. You know, the range of emotions and the life experiences in such a short, compact amount of time has a very anxiety-ridden arc, I think. But her character is very, consistent throughout the movie. I do agree with that. Yeah, I think I told you guys, and I didn't even know about the Demi Moore narrative. This was before the Globes, but I told you guys that early frontrunner status scares me. And here we are. And it's not just Demi Moore, by the way. Let's go to the other ones real quick. I'll get to some of your other comments here in a second. So, I can't remember who said it, but I agree with you. Carla is the third spot there, Sophia Gasson. Now, that would be important. That would be the first trans actor of any sex to be nominated for a major Academy Award. That would be cool. She's got him across the board. Demi Moore's got him across the board. And guess who else does? Mikey Madison and Cynthia Erivo. Now, I'm baffled by... You guys tell me in the chat what I'm missing here. But I'm just looking at precursors, really. And the love for Wicked, the love for Ariana Grande so far on the circuit as well. Even John Chu for some pretty prominent directing nominations. Why wouldn't Erivo get the nomination? I'm not talking about from like a personal preference point of view. Like, you might not like the performance, or you might not nominate it if it was your award show. But in this situation, why would the Academy not nominate Cynthia Erivo? Am I crazy? I've heard pundits not putting her in. To the 5 even. Which is just fascinating to me. And maybe they're right. I mean, we won't know till Thursday, but she has every major precursor. And not only that, she's in a film that is going to come with multiple nominations. All of these actresses are. Moore, Erivo, Gasson, and Mikey Madison are your top 4. I'm just telling you right now. And the reason that you can feel good about that is because those films are going to have multiple nominations. Like 7, 8 plus. Up to like 12 for movies like Amelia Perez. Which is going to immediately say they love this project. So if they're nominating it for 10 Academy Awards, let's just say, and Ariana Grande, why I don't understand why people aren't predicting Cynthia Erivo. Maybe I'm going to be wrong, but everything spreadsheet-wise and, precursor-wise, and then the love for Wicked-wise, the box office, etc., I think she's in. Does anybody think she's not in? Hit me with it. Does anybody think that Grande's getting in, but Erivo's not? And if so, why? Like, that's just what's... Like, of course you could be right. Of course she can miss. But why would she miss? Like, I don't understand why the mentality would be that. Let's see. Jimmy says Demi all the way. So does Burkan, says Demi. Pellin says Demi as well. See, this is what I'm talking about. We're not on the Academy, but this is what I'm talking about. The narrative with Demi Moore, yes, what she did in The Substance is phenomenal. I mean, somebody mentioned the mirror scene. Let's see. Jimmy said the mirror scene. When I was talking about that edit I made, I watched a lot of those performances. I was pulling in that footage. Man. I can't even tell you. I mean, she really went there, guys, in The Substance. If you haven't seen it, and if you have seen it, you know what I'm talking about. She really, gave that little gross body horror indie from a French filmmaker everything she had. There's no way that when she was giving that performance, when they filmed it last year or whatever, there's no way that she thought, I'm doing this to win an Academy Award. And that is another thing that's going to speak volumes to the voting on this, because The Substance is not an Academy movie. When Mubi picked up that movie, they didn't pick it up thinking this is going to be our Oscars player this year. I'm just telling you. I don't even think. I mean, when's the last time has there ever been a movie of that magnitude of like horror, like physical horror, body recognized by the Academy? I mean, Silence of the Lambs had some, gross shit with Buffalo Bill or whatever, but I don't I don't think there's ever I think it's this I think this if this ends up happening, I think it's going to be revolutionary for the horror genre. I'm just telling you. It might take 10 years or whatever to for that revolution to come, but I think that's going to start a wave of different auteur genre type of films being recognized, especially by these international members. And especially if they're at the hand of these craftsmen, these directors that are just fucking great at their job. I mean, like Farjah, like Robert Eggers, Ari Aster, Jordan Peele, who's already been nominated. A screenplay, but another great filmmaker that has an eye and that speaks to people in a new way. What about a Revo? Where are we at? Does anybody? Let me go down here. You mean good to get in? Because I don't think so. Or do you mean good in the movie? I actually haven't seen Lee yet. That's literally the only movie I think that's the only like major film in the Oscars discussion that I haven't seen yet, but I did see it's on Amazon Prime now. So I'm probably going to check that out before I do my predictions on Monday, actually. I'll watch it this weekend. But Kate Winslet's great. I was surprised she missed the BAFTA, actually. Of course, they got Saoirse Ronan in there. I knew that was going to happen. But Nicole Kidman missed the BAFTA. Kate Winslet missed the BAFTA. Marianne Jean-Baptiste got a little life support from the BAFTAs with her nomination because she was another baffling miss time and again because she's great in Hard Truths. All right, so what are we doing? So I'm leaving a Revo in. I was looking to see if anybody thought that a Revo might miss. Let's see. They might snub Cynthia Erivo like they did Margot Robbie. Did Margot Robbie have all the major precursors, though? I don't think she had BAFTA, did she? Somebody might have to Google that for me. I don't think Robbie had all the precursors. I think she missed BAFTA. But they could, though. You're right. I mean, Wicked is definitely the Barbie of this Academy bunch. That's 100% true. And you had the director miss. You had Margot Robbie miss, who is Barbie, or who was Barbie. You had Gosling get in. You had some text, song, movie, etc. But, yeah, the Robbie and the Gerwig misses were kind of weird for Barbie. Of anything to get nominated, it should have been Greta Gerwig. But I see what you're saying about that. Let's see. So Wicked's going to be like Barbie. Burkan, I'm actually going to touch on that here in a second because we got to get to my fifth spot. So I was looking to see if there was a compelling argument to take Cynthia Erivo out with all the precursors before I knew she was in my 5. Let's see. Catherine says Demi Moore, Mikey, Carla. Ooh, Fernanda and Marianne. That would be an inspired 5. I don't know if I'm brave enough to predict that, but that would be inspired. I would be thrilled with that 5. Okay, so Margot did have all the precursors. I thought she missed BAFTA, but okay. So yeah, that would be like a Margot Robbie situation then. You're right. Or LOM's right. But yeah, it could happen. It could happen because I remember being shocked that year, but also because that was Barbie, man. I mean, she was a producer on it. She was the face of it, the titular character. I mean, it was a weird thing. And then Cynthia Erivo as Elphaba. It's kind of a two-handed thing with Ariana Grande, but it's one of those things where I just think it just feels weird to know that Ariana Grande is a shoo-in in supporting, and the movie's going to get multiple nominations across the board, but then you're not going to nominate the lead actor carrying it. It just seems weird to me for her to miss with what's going on. But if she were to miss, what you guys are saying about the Margot Robbie comparison makes sense. And then Boa Lin Chow has a good comment, too, about Wicked Part 2. You know, when they started promoting Wicked, they didn't even announce it as a Part 1. And I think that may be why. People get weary like that. Like, look at what Denis Villeneuve's going through. Why'd you guys have to get me back thinking about that again? Nothing this award season, no matter what happens Thursday, nothing will baffle me more than the DGA not nominating Denis Villeneuve for Dune Part 2. I was absolutely aghast that he did not get that nomination from his peers for what he did, regardless if you even like the movie. The spectacle of it, the scope. Oh, man. Denis. I think I'm going to leave a Revo in, but the Part 2 argument is compelling. The Margot Robbie element is compelling. I think if it were for a different movie and it wasn't Wicked, same thing with Sofia Gasson, with Emilia Perez. They love these movies. And the public, frankly, loved Wicked too. And they need that showing, the Academy, I mean, for the general, like box office audience. I'm going to leave her in. The problem with this category, and you guys will see in a second, is I'm going to be going heart again. But I also am going to go a little bit history because there's only how many years have the Golden Globes been around? I don't know if anybody wants to Google that. It's like 70 or 60 or something. Like 60 years or whatever it is, the Golden Globes, I think. Twice. 2 times. In multiple decades. The Golden Globe drama winner did not get nominated for an Academy Award. 2 times. To me, that says Fernanda Torres is getting nominated. It's hard to go against that stat. Now, of course, it's going to happen again at some point, right? You would think eventually somebody's going to not get in. But there is a lot of international, we've been talking about that a lot tonight. There is a lot of international love for I'm Still Here. And I saw it, and it's also one of my favorite movies of the year. Now, I saw it based on, so here's what LOM is saying is the movie is good. It's just, are you talking about I'm Still Here or a different film? I'm sorry. I think lead actress is just such a bloodbath this year. So many people are fighting to be in the top 5. You're right, but when does that not happen? The lead roles are just like, yeah, it's tough. I mean, and then you look at an actress like Angelina Jolie. When I started these predictions back in September for this year, she was my number 1 for like a month because I saw her in Maria and I went with, and Pablo Larraín, those films, Jackie, Spencer, and now Maria, the first 2, they were in immediately. It was like, the awards circle saw like one frame of Portman's performance and Kristen Stewart's performance, and they're like, yeah, she's in. That's Oscar worthy right there. Bam, here it is. And Angelina Jolie did great in Maria too, but man, she's missing. She is striking out. So I had to drop her out of my 5 eventually, and then I think it's between Marianne Jean-Baptiste. If I leave a Revo in, which I think I'm comfortable doing, and if she misses, I'm going to come back and tell you guys that you were right about the Margot Robbie comparison. But I'm going to leave her Revo in. It just seems weird to me to take Elphaba out of the Wicked nominations. The Wicked out of, I don't know, it just seems weird. So I'm going to leave her in, which would then put, I need some compelling arguments, but I'm thinking right now Fernanda Torres. It's a brilliant performance. It's also going to get, although Marianne Jean-Baptiste could get some of this too, but it's also going to get a lot of international voters. And the stat from the Golden Globe just always stays with me. You know, if frickin' Pamela Anderson or Amy Adams, well, no, Amy Adams was in the comedy category. If Pamela Anderson won the Globe, I'd be predicting her right here because of that stat. You can't go against that stat. Multiple decades. And the 2 times it happened, by the way, really it's never happened. Because the 2 times that the Golden Globe drama winner did not get nominated, one year was Kate Winslet. And Kate Winslet did get nominated. She got nominated for a different movie. I think it was The Reader. And the Globe was for Revolutionary Road. I think I have those movies right. So she had 2 drama movies come out in the same year, kind of like Sebastian Stan, honestly. And what the Globes did is they rewarded, I think, Revolutionary Road. I might have it backwards. And the Academy recognized The Reader. So Kate Winslet still did get nominated, which is for a different movie. And then the other time it happened, I'm not as familiar with, but I think it was in the 80s. And I think the actress, it was a tie. It was like one of the rare occurrences where there was a tie for the award. So it's really never happened. So I just don't know how you can go against that stat. I think based on that stat alone, Fernanda Torres gets in. By the way, I didn't put her winning X on here. So sorry, Fernanda, if you're watching this. Brazil, rise up. They are passionate about Fernanda Torres too, and I think the international voters are going to kind of rally around that because there's not going to be any other. I mean, Carla Sofia Gasson honestly, I don't know. She might be Colombian, or I'm not sure what her heritage is, but she may get some international votes as well. But I think Torres is in for the 5th. If anybody thinks I'm wrong, let me know. Oh, you were talking about Dune Part 2. Yeah, dude. Watch that edit I did. Dune Part 2 was my number 2 of the year, spoiler alert. It was only behind Nosferatu for my personal favorites of the year. I love that movie. It's such a spectacle. It's why you go to the cinema, you know. It's why you go to IMAX or whatever. Carla is Spanish, Draga says. Thank you so much. I thought it was like Latino heritage, but I wasn't sure exactly where, so I didn't want to speculate. But that is obviously an international nominee as well. So that's the 5 I'm going with. Now it sounds like you guys in my chat here, which is not a huge audience, but it's a sample size, because it sounds like you guys are also saying that Arrivo is going to miss, which I heard today and yesterday and today from a lot of people that I respect. And I'm like, she's going to miss, but she hasn't missed anything. But then the Margot Robbie thing makes sense. The Part 2 thing makes sense. If she misses, let's put, I think I would probably do Marianne Jean-Baptiste as probably 6. Angelina Jolie still has a lifeline, critical cardiac arrest situation going on. But because of that performance and Pablo Larraín having a history of getting his actresses into, I mean, Kristen Stewart, you remember that? She was one of my favorite performances from that 3 or 4 years ago for Spencer as Princess Di. And the support around her fell off towards the Academy Awards from people that were predicting, I mean, not fans, but people that were making predictions. You know, she had the Globe and the trajectory started to do this, you know, and people were like forgetting about Kristen Stewart. So Angelina Jolie in a Lorraine film, a very meaty performance, a lot of drama in that movie, a lot of Oscar clips could be used from her performance in that movie, and she was great in it. But I do think it's a lifeline situation right now. I think that's probably it in terms of who's in contention. I mean, Nicole Kidman was, you know, she's well loved. I just don't think Baby Girl's that Oscar bait type of film. Pamela Anderson's got a little bit of momentum with The Last Showgirl and the Jamie Lee Curtis factor of it all. Might put her in yellow too, maybe. What do you guys think? I'll put her at like number 8. She's got a little, just because of that momentum. And if they end up nominating Jamie Lee, which, by the way, I predicted that they will, maybe that flows over a little bit to Pamela Anderson. That would be another one of those shocking things on Oscar morning, though. I don't think anybody or very, very few people are going to have her in the 5. Not because she can't get in, but just because it would be a long shot. It would be kind of like, like I said earlier about doing the odds in Vegas. If you want to put down $10 and win 1,000 on Pamela Anderson, then if you got $10 laying around, you might want to do it. I think that's it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these these greens. I don't know if anybody screenshotted these to fact check me on Monday. And those are most likely going to be my predictions when I do my video for my final predictions. I'm also going to get bottom of the line categories for you guys. I do have them on my website, but they have probably changed a lot. Let me go to... They've probably changed a lot because I haven't read up on all the guilds that have been handing out awards lately. But I do have all those on there too, and I'm going to probably do... I'll probably do 2 videos, probably. As long as I can get them both done before they announce the nominees. Otherwise, it's not really a prediction. I'll either do one long one or I'll do 2 shorter ones. But yeah, I got them all on my website. If you guys want to check it out, the notes or the website will be down in the notes. And hopefully you guys check out my year-end countdown I did. I just did an edit. I was telling you guys, it took me like 3 days to edit it. So check it out, like it, share it, do whatever, help me out. By the way, Flo could take this. I love Flo, but that's also a momentum situation. That's also an international voting situation. Those are 2 key factors to this year's Oscars is the momentum. And by the way, when I'm talking about momentum or when you guys are thinking about momentum, think about like the last 2 weeks because voting ends today. That's what a lot of people kind of like don't realize. Like Timothy Chalamet going on SNL next week is going to be a fucking blast, but it's not going to help anything because the voting is over. So real quick, I'll just show you guys the screen. I don't know who wants to screenshot it to fact check me in a few days, but that's the 10 I have for Best Picture with those 3 in yellow as potential upsets, led by September 5, I think. Director, I have a sinking feeling, which really is based on the Academy's history, but I have a sinking feeling that Coralie Farjah could get snubbed. I don't want to predict that, though, because then I'm putting that out in the world. I'm going to predict her to get... I would rather be wrong about my prediction than her get snubbed. So I will predict her because that's what should happen. That's what I want to happen. But then again, Villeneuve should be number 1 with a bullet, and he's not. If Coralie misses, it's probably for Edward Berger. That's my 6th one there. Supporting actor, I went Clarence Macklin over Jeremy Strong. I probably shouldn't have. It's going to come down to how much the Academy likes The Apprentice and how much they're willing to reward it. But I think it's Jeremy Strong's the only... Jeremy Strong and Macklin are the 2. It's going to be one of them. So, let's see. Jimmy, yeah, that's what I fear. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it because I agree with it or I like it, but I mean, look at the history of we were just talking about Greta Gerwig a minute ago. I mean, the substance could overperform, and I hope it does. And that'll help Coralie at the end of the day. But it's also tough because if you're looking at director, it's also tough because a filmmaker like Edward Berger, which is right there, I mean, he's that 6. Coralie Farjah and Berger are 5 and 6. It's like flip a coin, But the difficulty for Coralie in that situation is, well, besides being female, based on the Academy's history, but otherwise, the Academy loves Edward Berger. And I'm basing that on the All Quiet on the Western Front love, really, because that's his only really like major motion picture. And it was a great film, and honestly, Conclave is a great film. And I think Conclave is a sleeper. I'm talking about for Best Picture. It's a sleeper. Because it's going to fall right in that top 3 or so for everybody, which is a lot of points it's going to accumulate. It's a ranked system. They don't just vote for one movie. They rank them all. So if you have 1,000 people ranking it third, and then you have movies like The Substance and Anora that are getting 10th, they're not going to get as many points. It's kind of like the conclave voting system for the Pope. Maybe there's a tongue-in-cheek there with that, but yeah. So I think that's director, supporting actor. I told you guys already. Macklin is a heart pick, but we got to do it. Lighters up for Macklin on Thursday morning. I don't know if I'm going to do a live reaction because I don't know what my emotions will be like. But I actually took off work Thursday when they rescheduled them. Because I'm going to be a fucking mess if some of these people miss. If Sing Sing blanks, with the exception of Coleman Domingo, and does the SAG thing all over again, and then Amelia Perez breaks the record or some crazy shit, what are we doing? This is what I went with for in supporting actress. This one is, I have no idea. The only thing I know in this category for certain is Grande and Saldana. You see the green? No clue. I have no clue. Hell, the ones that aren't even highlighted could get nominated. This is the most toss-up category. Aside from those two, the most toss-up category, the other three. I think Jamie Lee's momentum, as I said earlier, she's in. I don't think her performance is worthy to be in, but I think she's in because of what the last couple weeks leading up to now. That's where I'm at with that. Lead. I think lead was the easiest category. We all kind of agreed on that. Sebastian Stan and Hugh Grant would be Hail Mary upsets. They're both possibilities in place of Daniel Craig. But nothing has told me that Daniel Craig's not going to get that. So now if Jeremy Strong gets mentioned in his category and we start to see that international love for The Apprentice, then in real time, I'm probably going to be like, it's Sebastian Stan. But right now, as I'm sitting here, I see Daniel Craig has a better shot. And this is another tough category, but I think that's your 5. Well, let me rephrase this. That should be your 5. Based on precursors, based on what I know about the history of the Academy, that should be the 5. Doesn't mean it will be. And you guys might be onto something about the name missing from there as a Revo because of the Margot Robbie comparison, the Part 2 stuff. You're not wrong. Look at what Villeneuve and Dune are going through this year. They're the middle portion of a trilogy at least. So you guys are not wrong, but that's what I'm sticking with for now. And I'm going to keep this spreadsheet as is when I film my video so that I can stick to my guns. If something crazy happens over the weekend, I have a conversation with somebody or something crazy happens and I change my mind, then so be it. But I think this is what I'm probably going to end up going with. Oh, man. So you guys don't even know this, but you helped me brainstorm the Academy Award final prediction. So there we go. You did it. That's my brainstorming session. That's what I usually do out here by myself, drinking beer. But tonight I'm just pounding water and trying to keep my throat lubricated. We'll see what happens. I'll have a video for you guys on Monday or Tuesday at the latest, depending on how long it takes me to edit it. And please go check out my year-end video countdown that I put out today. Give it a thumbs up and all that stuff if you haven't already. And after this award season, we're on to 2025. But it's been fun. And I said that earlier. I'll end on this. The 2024 award season, or the 2025 award season, I guess I should say, is a hell of a lot of fun. Because there are so many categories that no matter what people say or how much of an expert they are, we just don't know. It is a very Wild West situation in a lot of these categories. Namely, Best Picture. There's 4 movies I told you earlier. Any of them can win Best Picture. And I'd be like, okay, that's the winner. I didn't pick it, but okay, that's the winner. So we'll see. We'll see how the momentum continues for some of these actors like Demi Moore. If they continue to keep the train rolling, keep the steam up. I'm excited, though. I will say this is one of the most exciting award season that I can remember. I've been doing this even before I had my YouTube channel for like 5 years, and this is probably the most exciting yet, honestly, because the other ones were, at least in most categories, a little bit more predictable. And this year, there's just so many unpredictable factors that are going into it too, because you just can't predict a vibe. You know, you can't. I mean, you don't know what the industry's thinking amidst all the fires and everything else. I mean, there's a lot of shit going on out there, you know. And that's probably why they are responding to somebody like Jamie Lee Curtis, who's out there feeling it with them and, you know, et cetera. So, got to look at some of the below the line stuff too. Man, that got shaken up a little bit too. I got to check all those guilds and get that stuff included in my predictions also. You guys are the best. Thanks for hanging out with me. I know it's late. I'll have this video out for you, like I said, Monday or Tuesday. And come Thursday, I'll do a reaction of some kind. I'll be here. I got my buddy Lex, who's in my critics group, joining me. She's going to talk about the nominations with me, talk me off the ledge. But I don't know if I'll do a live reaction or not. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. But thank you guys for watching. I always appreciate your support. Go check out my year-end stuff. And I'll see you Monday, Tuesday-ish for more Oscar stuff. Thank you, guys.